The following episode of the Maui Chamber of Commerce's Business Matters was originally broadcast on January 28th, 2025.
It's time now for Business Matters, brought to you by the Maui Chamber of Commerce. And now, here's your host, the president of the Maui Chamber of Commerce, Pam Toonpop. Good morning, Pam. How's the weather up there today, Pam?
Hey, good morning, Jerry. Well, it's a little cloudy and a little overcast, but not raining at the moment. But we're getting some rain, which is great.
Yes. It rained all night last night and the night before at my house.
Yeah, for us too. Well, I'm sure it rained last night. It was raining up until about 10 o'clock, so I hope it continues throughout the evening. And yeah, we need it.
I just wanted to.
I'm grateful for that. But boy,
I just wanted
sorry to
to.
worry what's going on in California, and and of course for them, they're worried about rain and flooding now.
Right.
So this reminds us all that we want everything green, but we also got to keep planting and make sure we protect, the soil and protect our areas.
Yes, that's for sure.
Well, thank you so much for all you're doing. I know that you've been going through big transitions at the station, and just really appreciate all you do to support this show, and Koi has done to support this show for many years. So thank you for your tremendous work.
Trying my best.
That's all we can do.
That's it.
That's all we can do. Well, folks, we're so glad to have you join us for Business Matters this morning. We have two dynamic women that are going to be on the show today, sharing about the work they do in their program. The first is Antoinette, we know her as Toni Davis of the Activities and Attractions Association of Hawaii. And then later on in the show, we'll have Stacey Moniz. Many of you know Stacey from Women Helping Women, her many years of service there. She's now with the Maui Women Business Center, which is a program of the YWCA on Oahu. And she's going to share about the work they're doing at the Maui Women Business Center. But first, we're going to talk to Toni Davis. She is the executive director of the Activities and Attractions Association of Hawaii, known as A3H. Good morning, Toni. How are you?
Good morning, Pam. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's always great to get to talk to you this morning, and every morning that we get a chance to chat. It's been a while, so I'm glad to have you on the show. Tell everybody how long you've been at A3H and
Oh, goodness.
how you got that organization started and the amazing software you helped to create for the industry.
Oh, thanks. I've been here since 1997, 28 years, a very long time. And when I came to the organization, it was just a Maui organization. It's called AOA, Activity Owners Association. And I used to be a part owner of a charter boat business. So I was a member of AOA, and I had sold my shares and recognized there's so much more that the organization could do. Living here, there's often the conflict between the residents and tourism, right? Because tourists come here and they impact us as residents here. Traffic, more people on the beach, all of those things that we see that are very in our face as residents here. But the caveat to that is the amazing economic benefit that tourism brings to a place. Tourism is a gift, and many residents don't recognize that the fact their taxes for their property tax is so low because tourism, pays for part of that. It picks that up. It is the most lucrative, beneficial economic engine that any place could have. The key is management. And our government does a pretty good job. And honestly, our members, the Activities and Attractions, which is air, land, and sea, they self-regulate because they recognize, if things go too willy-willy, right, it won't work. It'll just get. Government's answers a lot of times when there's conflict is shut it down. Just stop it completely. Instead of mitigating and doing the hard work and rolling up their sleeves and doing the management and putting procedures and moratoriums in place. So we work as much as we can with the government, because the cool thing about Activities and Attractions Association is the owners of the businesses that I work for live here. They get it. They love this place. They are part of the people, and they want to keep their legacy going. Many of the businesses are multi-generational, right? Their grandparents started the business and they're now running it. The kids are running it. And it's really beautiful to see. And I've seen that because I've been doing this for so long. So it's
And they teach people about our place and how
they
special
do.
and our culture.
Many of them,
And
not just Pacific Well Foundation, but many of them have nonprofit sides to them. And Pacific Well Foundation does a fabulous job. But there's many of them like that because Pacific Well is so well known for what they do, their community work. They are kind of the poster child for that. But others do that as well. You know, Trilogy does turkeys every year to Lanai. It's just the work that's done. They're part of this community and they give back constantly. But they seem to be they seem at times when things get tough, they seem to be the ones that get thrown under the bus.
I know, and the other thing is they also, in addition to the giving back and the sharing of culture and sharing of practices and teaching people about Maui, in so many cases, they're out there rescuing people and helping others and teaching ocean safety, and whether they're people who are participants of their program or activity, or they're when they see others in dangerous situations, they step forward to help them.
The Kaanapali situation is, they are the lifeguards for Kaanapali, those commercial boats that run off of there. And with the court order that happened, well, it's been going on. The case actually dates back to 2017. And, the complaints in the case are bilge pumping, which was never identified by a boat or a date or anything. And the person who claims to have had this happen has since passed. Parking
Toni, let's go back for a minute.
Oh, yeah.
To take people a little bit back, let's talk about this case for a minute.
Okay.
Tell people, take them from the beginning, walk them through what this case is, because I know a lot of people are not familiar with it.
There are two nonprofit organizations that are focused on preservation and cultural and environmental preservation, which is, fully supported 100% by our organization and our members. Many of them use natural resources and intertwine the culture as much as possible. A lot of us that live here, most of us that live here and chose this place, if we weren't born here, to embrace the culture, which is so beautiful. But this case started in 2017, and it was dismissed, appealed, came back, and in April of 2024, it saw the light of day. And in the end of November, beginning of December, the order was signed, actually went into place. I think it was December 2nd. Judge Cahill put into place a support of the claim, which requires an EA. The area in Kaanapali is called an ORMA. It's an Ocean Recreational Management Area. And many of the businesses there have been running at minimum 30 years to 40 years. They've been doing this. It's a designated ocean recreation. What's surprising, and it is the fault of the DLNR, specifically DOE Board, they never did an EA or an EIS. An EIS was done for Mala, for Lahaina Harbor. Most places that have commercial activity like this have had some kind of, an EA is environmental assessment, which is a lighter form of an EIS, which is an environmental impact statement. Anyway, so part of the claim with this case is that there was no environmental anything regarding this boat activity off the beach. So what they want is no activity at all. And, as I shared earlier, these are businesses that have, the grandkids are running them now. This has been going on for years and years and years. And an environmental assessment done without the activity taking place almost seems moot, right? The activity needs to be taking place so you see the impact. But the order is stop all business. Wow. For Kaanapali, I mean, we're still reeling from the dual impacts of COVID and the Maui wildfires. So here are these businesses on Kaanapali who are just, I mean, businesses overall are just getting back to exceed last year's numbers. We're not at 2019 yet, but they're getting better. And they're seeing, things very, very slowly get back to a normal state. Now, this court order, one by one, as these permits come up for reissue, will not be reissued. And they will have to wait until an environmental assessment says it's okay for them to operate. They're not damaging the area, and they can coexist. The date to the DLNR, specifically DOBOR, Division of Ocean Recreation, or Division of Ocean Recreational, Division of Ocean Boating, Ocean Recreation. I do know these things really well, but I just know the acronyms better than I know the.
Really.
No coffee in it.
And for people who don't know, DLNR is Department of Land and
Natural Resources. Yeah. So DOBOR, Chair Chang, who is the director of DLNR and oversees DOBOR, did issue a statement asking for reconsideration, which was like, phew. The judge was to make his statement on the reconsideration and hear that on January 17th. So we were all just holding our breath to see that, people became reasonable, because stopping this represents 230 families out of jobs. And they're already reeling from, the things that have happened. So it just seems very backwards. And instead of deciding on it, and in defense of him doing this, he is just inundated with wildfire cases. So he postponed it to February 14th, Valentine's Day, which, hoping it's a good thing. And but the hard part of this is the boats are all collateral damage. They're not part of the case, so they can't speak. They don't have a voice. They can't participate at all. It is up to DOBOR and up to the chair to say, hey, this is an impact that really doesn't need to go to this level. This is too severe. They've been running for 40 years. The beach and the environment is absolutely beautiful and stunning, and hence, it's people come here to experience this place. And if there weren't tours, guided tours, and this organized activity that we have that provides safety, knowledge, and also this economic engine, right? People would go on their own, and they would cause way more environmental damage, and they wouldn't have the benefit of the culture being shared with them and all of the great facts and information. And that wouldn't be as safe, that's for sure. I mean, we know that from people that go hiking on their own on the east side while there's a rainstorm, right? And they have to get helicopter rescued, right? So anyway, these small businesses, they're residents here too, and they need to be supported. This needs to, I mean, it just, to me, is a no-brainer. They need to be able to continue to operate. It's mean.
Yeah, I think
we shouldn't.
back to, really needing to educate the community on the various facets of the visitor industry, what people are actually, you point out, and I know you've been sharing this for years, that there's so many things that they're doing well, and there's so many things that they're doing right. And people keep referring to so many of these businesses with their outsider coming in,
Yes.
and not understanding who a lot of these businesses really are, and their families and their history, and how they've been a part of our community. And as you point out, we all want to make sure that we are protecting the environment and we care for Maui. But to do this move without, unfortunately, the state government doing the right thing, and it's one of these challenges where if we had done that step years ago, then we wouldn't be in this position today.
Right.
And so it's one of those things that, but then to just say, hey, we're going to halt everything and not look at the tremendous damage caused in just doing that. We've got to find ways where we can do some of this stuff simultaneously.
Yeah. No, you got to do it hand in hand. I mean, they've lost so much already. So many people have lost their homes, their facilities, their labor force, and the government community support hasn't been that great for these businesses because, like you said, they look at business and they think mainland. And these people are not mainland.
It is really fascinating to me. I was just a friend last night actually literally was talking to me and said, and he's local, born and raised Hawaiian, and but and a business owner, and said, um, people just who aren't in business don't understand what it takes, and we were really kind of also talking about employees who when they look at their pay, they only think of their pay. They don't think of the vacation pay and the benefits and the medical benefits, and they don't understand how employers are paying into their social security and their temporary disability and all of these things that maybe they don't need, but there's protections there that cost businesses money, and they don't realize what it takes to really run a business and what it takes to care for all of the employees in that business, and they don't get the connection of we're not talking big banking institutions. We have banks here, but we're not talking big conglomerates here. Most of our businesses, uh, by many national standards, in least a lot of the chamber members, a lot of
They're small business. Yeah, it's under 500.
Not
I
only
think,
the
right?
small business, some of them are micro business.
Yeah, micro business. A lot of them are mom and pop. A lot of them
are mom and pop micro businesses that we're talking about. And these are businesses that not only support the owners and their family, right, who are residents and live here, and their kids are raised here, and they're part of this community, and as you said, generations, but the families of their employees. I mean, their employees' families are counting on them to have these jobs. They've had these jobs for years and years, and somehow, I don't know. It just seems to me somehow during COVID, a tide changed.
Yes.
And there was so much rhetoric about just businesses that people don't really connect.
No, it's almost as if it's like tourism caused the fires. In some people's minds, in some discussions, it just really was difficult. The Maui fires are still a difficult topic, right? Anybody who lives here and cares about this place, it's very emotional, right? And yeah.
And we're fighting, I mean, every day at the chamber, we're still fighting to help people get the help they need. Whether they're chamber members or not, I'm sure you're doing the same thing with activity companies. There's so much need out there still. And of course, we're all very worried about California, but we also are, recognize that as other places have had disasters following ours, as California continues to rage on, as we're hearing, government is pulling back and holding back on grant money and major programs. Everybody's afraid right now, and yet we're still not making the connection of how reliant we are on this visitor industry.
Yeah, we need something that brings us together so that we have a collective ambition to go forward, which includes the community, includes the
the business sector, we're all in this together. We have way more to gain together than divisive, which is, what really needs to be squashed.
Yeah, I agree. And again, and it is about protecting our others, and it is about taking care of the environment.
Yes.
And there are ways for us to all unite. And we, sadly, you and I have been on the DMAP program.
Yep.
We are such champions of that program because we were really moving in that direction.
Yeah.
And we've
The
we've
on
had
the
a couple
the
pandemic and
the
fires.
on the
Go ahead. I'm
DMAP.
sorry. Toni.
Yeah. The biggest thing with the DMAP, which it's gotten better, but the people who are running illegally, scoff law is what I call them. They scoff at the law. Those I think are the people, the scoff law. They're like people that come from the mainland. They're like, hey, yeah, I could start a tour company to Honda. And they just get an SUV and they start doing this. And they have no respect. They have no knowledge. They make up stories. It's horrible. And we are so against that because the costs that you were talking about before that employees don't know, right? They're not paying any of that. They're often not even paying GET. These are we collectively need to be maybe an us them with the illegal operators. I think that possibly is where some of the negative thoughts regarding the activity and attraction businesses come from, is the illegal operators.
And we don't support those. These are organizations.
No.
Do not support businesses that are not operating legally, that are not registered to do business in the state of Hawaii,
Properly
that are
permitted,
not
insured.
Yep. Yeah, that are not contributing, that are actually deterring from and sending out false messages and giving us a bad reputation. And you and I testified at county and state level on these issues.
Yeah.
And continue to do so. We've done it for decades.
Yep.
It's a problem. But I think that, it's on the grand scheme of things, it's a small problem, but it's overarching all the great things that are happening.
Yes.
And that's a challenge we have to fix. I wanted to just, you and I both have activity companies. You have more than we have as chamber members, but I'm hearing from our chamber members that they're just really struggling. Can you talk about how your activity businesses overall are doing at this time with our, our visitor market down, and still, and some predicting we might be going forward for several years to come, 25%.
Yeah, it's a slow recovery. I've heard mayor say it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. But it's even at that, it's a very, very slow marathon.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's they are, I looked really quickly at some aggregated numbers just for Maui in the activity and attraction sector side, because I do, like you mentioned earlier, I have a software program that does real-time reservation system stuff. Pono for doing it the right thing at the right time for the right reasons. And overall, they are doing better than last year, just slightly. And that just started happening October, November. And that trend seems to be following into January. But it's a little deceiving because I know that owners now are pulled into the workforce because the workforce is been just depleted, especially the management side of the workforce. It's a little easier to find the daily worker people, but finding management people is becoming harder and harder. So the owners are now, rolled up their sleeves and they're working daily on the operation. Some of them, I've had conversations where they haven't had a day off in months. They're
Wow.
wearing several hats and doing several things. So it's as if they're have a startup business again, because often when you start the business up, that's your mode. I mean, I remember with Pride of Maui, when I started that business up with my husband, I had a baby in front of me and a baby on my back, and I was checking people in. And
That's
that's
what people do to build these businesses.
that is what you do, and I know it firsthand. And I loved every minute of it because I loved sharing this place with visitors and keeping them safe and letting them have just like the most wonderful time of their vacation, right? Getting in the water and enjoying Molokini, which is what we did. But yeah, it's the lack of workforce, the increase in costs, everything has gone up tremendously. And it's really hard to raise their prices. They've already raised their prices since COVID, possibly 2 to 3 times. And with hotel prices as high as they are, you shoot yourself in the foot if you raise the prices much more. So they're absorbing that lack. Their margins are going down. They're working more. It's not easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's very true. Speaking of that and talking about rising costs, we were ringing in on House Bill 760, which is that increased tax on each barrel of petroleum product to create a carbon cashback tax credit. But the challenge is that, so many, if you look at the Alice report on how Hawaii families are doing, 44% of the households in Hawaii are below the Alice threshold. I mean, they're already struggling.
44%?
And while they'll pay more at the barrel, they'll get a rebate at the end of the year, but each month they're struggling. But also, there is no tax credit for businesses. So it's a direct hit for businesses on an additional tax increase. So, right now when our most of it, actually, to be honest with you, a lot of the activity companies I'm talking to are really struggling, both on the employee side, definitely on the employee side. But, and you point out as the rates are higher within the accommodation side, they're seeing, I have a number of people who are seeing fewer guests participating in their activities, or boats not being able to fill a boat, or a van not being able to fill a van to the degree that just doesn't pencil out to make the trip. I mean, the costs are too high.
Right. No, they and when it was really rough, not that it's still not rough, but boaters were coming together that normally compete with each other and talking about, why don't I go Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, and you do Thursday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays, right?
Yeah.
Nobody goes Sunday, right? And they, and they're sharing workforce. So that when they do that, their staff isn't just working 3 days a week. The staff can actually work for the other guy too, and trying to just do whatever they can to make ends meet. And they're still in that state. It's the numbers from DBET regarding expenditures are often touted as, oh, look, we have less people, but they're spending more. It's like, yes, but look how much more the cost of a hotel is, and how people aren't staying at Airbnbs anymore. They're scared to, with all of the short-term rental stuff that's going on. It just doesn't feel as good, and they're staying at the more expensive hotels. And that is part of the expenditure number. I think we need to pull that out of the expenditure number and then look at how much is going back into our economy for shopping, for activities and attractions, and restaurants. Restaurants have always gotten hit hardest. We've had a lot of restaurants close with all this going on.
Well, and I've always shared that, we've done what with this economic engine, we leveraged it to create all these other industries that aren't sustainable without visitors.
Yes.
Our restaurant, our retail jobs, the activity jobs, the weddings and events, and all these other things associated with a really robust visitor industry. We can't sustain them, and then people forget. We keep talking about farming and sustainability and farming, but the farmers, are producing for the hotels and for the restaurants. And, when they're down, the farmers are hard hit as well.
Right.
And we've seen, we fought during COVID, and we're seeing it still. And so it's not like we're closed down. The good news is it's not like we're closed down, but with the counts down, with the visitors who are normally here and contributing to those businesses in a great way. Yeah, we're still seeing a world of hurt, and with some of the economic reports, people are saying, "Hey, we better plan out for the next several years."
Right. Right.
So it's a significant challenge. Well, Toni, I one last quick question. I know we've got another guest coming on.
Yeah, Stacey's here.
But
I see. She's here.
Yeah,
Good
can we
morning.
really quickly get an update on the Lahaina Harbor?
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. On the Lahaina Recovery recent update in December, Lahaina Harbor is put in the midterm, which is 3 to 5 years. And that's just unacceptable. I mean, I'm talking about people that were out of business. Of the 99 slips, 13 boats made it out of there unscathed, right? So there are people that had their boats burned, but yet they have no place. The insurance doesn't give them money unless they build a boat. Well, where are they going to put that boat? Right? The loading dock is fixed. The fuel dock is fixed. Army Corps of Engineers are in a really big parking lot right now, and they're supposed to be out of that parking lot the beginning of February. That'll open up a place for customers to come and park. It's in walking distance to the harbor. They can open up the harbor at least for those boats that made it, those boats that have a vessel that can go there, and give the opportunity for the people who haven't taken advantage of the insurance, build a boat and bring a boat back. They'll likely either be, moored outside the harbor, which there's lots of moorings outside the harbor, or they can do Tahitian tie-up inside Lahaina. Tahitian tie-up at the slips is how Lahaina Harbor started. And the harbor does not need dredging, which is what we hear often from DLNR. When they removed all of the sunk vessels and the debris, they naturally dredged the harbor. There is no need for dredging. They could open that up. They could get things going back. It would really give a glimmer of hope. And it's something that with the boating industry being attacked with the whole Kaanapali thing, and let's not talk about Mala, but it would be really nice to have things move in the right direction where it shows that we are united, where it shows that we're part of the community too. So thanks for letting me touch on that, because that really needs to happen. 3 to 5 years is no. It needs to happen February, next month. Let's start opening it up a little.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This is something we've had time to plan, and as you said, the dredging has already been done, given everything that was removed, and that it's very tragic that it's just very tragic that all happened. But in the removal, they did it very well.
Yes.
And that really equates to a dredging. So,
and kudos to West Pacific Fuel. They opened up that fuel dock. I mean, it was a public-private venture thing. They did that, last year in June or something? I mean, it was so admirable. So admirable. They got that fast-tracked. Could have done it with the whole harbor, is my thought, But
yeah, no, it's just time, and the businesses are waiting. And again, it's not just the people. Businesses are made up of owners and people who started this, and these are people who are taking a gamble and risking their own income and their own reserves and savings in the hopes of having a successful business, in the hopes of being able to employ others. And so many people are just, we're talking about Kaanapali and we're talking about activity businesses overall, but the harbor and the boating industry there, they've lost so much.
yes.
And they're eager to get back to business. They're eager to get back to employing their employees and giving their people work again. And in some cases, they've lost workers because their workers had to go somewhere else in the meantime.
Yep.
And these are people who are very loyal to those companies.
It was a big brain drain, right? Because a lot of it was, lower and upper management that left. So it's
it's a huge challenge for our community.
Yep.
So I'm with you. Let's talk after the show, because we're in legislative session. So
yes, I would love to. I'll give you a call.
Support.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds great.
Thank you so much, and we'll talk soon.
Okay, Toni, great to have you on the show. Thank you so much.
Mahalo for you.
And we are so excited to have Stacey Moniz with us. coming in to join us today. She is now with the Maui Women's Business Center from the YWCA. Good morning, Stacey. How are you?
Oh, good morning, Pamela. I am great. It is a lovely rainy morning. We've all been praying for the rain, and here it is.
I know. Carrie and I were saying that earlier. We're so grateful for all the rain. It's phenomenal.
And just if I
So,
can add to what you were just talking about, for the people of
yes, please.
Lanai and to have the harbor back just for expeditions, even it's been such a challenge for people. And now with, Mokulele flights have often been canceled, and if we
Yes.
could get that harbor, it would make options for people on Molokai and Lanai as well. So I hear you. Let's get that harbor opened. Anyway, I know that's not why I'm here, but
No, but I appreciate it. Well, but what you bring up is, the harbor is needed for many different reasons.
oh yeah. Yep.
And yet the state has been slow to move on getting this moving forward. We've been pushing. I mean, that was one of the things immediately
Yeah.
after the wildfires that Senator Linda Coit jumped in, brought the different departments at the state level to come in and talk about how we get this going and moving forward.
Oh yeah. I think we're all in
And here
agreement.
you are.
Yeah. But they've
Yeah.
brought in challenges, So anyway, thanks for having me on. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about the new Women's Business Center here on Maui that we just opened. So yeah, thank you
Yeah.
again.
So I know your mission is to support women entrepreneurs at every stage of their business journey,
Yeah.
from their initial concept development to crafting comprehensive business plans and then scaling to an established enterprise. Can
Yeah.
you talk a little bit about some of the counseling and the courses and the special work you do to help them grow and succeed?
Yeah, so sort of building on what you folks are talking about after COVID and certainly after the wildfires, just when you think we're out of um, here came the fires. So a lot of people especially women, have these side businesses that we do, whether it's baking or making jewelry or clothing or all our little side hustles. So if you have an idea for a uh, small business for yourself, a one woman show usually, and then you want to talk story about that, I can help with that. One-on-one counseling, we call that. And then if you've already have a concept but you want to register your business, we can help you do that. Then if you've already registered your business but you want to talk about a business model or business plan to sort of get it up and running, we can help with that. If you've already been up and running and you want to expand or grow your business, we can help with that. If you're looking at ways to market your small business, we have classes for that. We even have a 7-week, it's a 14 class, so it's Tuesdays and Thursdays, all on Zoom, so you can continue to do your work. It's called a business incubator. So from concept to building to marketing, all included in these 7 weeks of uh, classes. And then we have this thing called Access to Capitals or this Capital Readiness Program. So if you have an established business and you've been in for, 3 to 5 years and you're doing a really good, robust business and you want to get expanded, maybe you want to add some manufacturing equipment or you want to build a kitchen or um, then we can help you get ready to pitch to your lending institution. We can make connections with those things as well. So we have the full range of services from just talking about a concept to building. If you're already in the $300,000 to $500,000 revenue, um, we can help there as well. So every step of the way, we can be there to help.
I think that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So, how would how many people have you seen coming through the classes, and how long have the 7-week classes been going on?
So the Patsy Mink Business Center in Honolulu has been around for about 13 years. And I mean, they help hundreds of women every year, if not thousands. The Maui Women's Business Center just opened in October last year, and it was started really as a result of the YWCA of Oahu coming to Maui to help small businesses here recover after the wildfires. And so they applied for a small business administration grant to open a women's business center here on Maui, and where we're awarded that. And then they hired me to come on board to provide the services here on Maui. So a lot of our classes are still online because a lot of the resources are Oahu based. So I'm working here to try to build our own team of teachers, instructors, group facilitators, whatever you want to call yourself. So if you have folks that you know that are expert women business owners that would be willing to share what they've learned throughout their own experiences with other young, and I don't mean young in age, but young budding entrepreneurs. We are looking to build our own team of teachers here on Maui. That's one of the things I'm working to do. So, um, yeah, so we have access to the Patsy Mink Business and Leadership Center on Oahu.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And what is over the 7-week course?
Mhm.
What is it? Is there like a layout for what you get week by week, or can you walk us through what's included in that amazing course that you folks offer?
Sure. So, because we're women focused, doesn't mean we only serve women. I actually have a couple of men clients I'm already working with here, but it is focused on women because a lot of women have multiple things they're juggling, whether it's a job, their job that pays their bills, and their families, children, all and everything that comes with that. In addition to that, they're working on this side business. So we kind of are acknowledging the fact that there's a lot going on for women, and we build that into our classes. So like this 7-week course happens on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 5:30 to 7:30. And I even see women out, and it's on Zoom, so you can do it from your home. And because for a lot of women, time away from home gets interferes with your production. So we see women on Zoom still doing their jewelry, still sewing, so that they can not lose production time. And so we talk about registering your business. Should you make your business an LLC? Should it be a corporation? Should it be an S corporation? So we talk through all of those things. We talk about your first attempt at a business loan. How do you approach that? What documents do you need? Um, Prepared before you do that, and we practice with them. So, because some people are nervous and shy about asking for money, it's a big step. And just sort of preparing their financials, like how do you set up your bookkeeping so that you keep your business record separate from your personal finances? Really important to set up your books in a way that makes sense for when if you're filing your taxes for the first time. So we help with that. Marketing, basic marketing. How do you use social media and other free forms of um, like email to market your business? Because a lot of people don't have money for marketing expenses. So we talk about that. And then once you do build yourself a marketing budget, how do you use that wisely? And then if there are people who are doing manufacturing types of things, what are your resources for manufacturing? I didn't realize that there's a place in Honolulu that can help with manufacturing. You don't have to send your product to the mainland or to China. There are places on Oahu that will help scale up. So say you're sewing um, you have a design, a line that you're creating, and suddenly you take off and you need to scale up and do hundreds of that's very difficult to do as a sole, your own person. So there are places on Oahu where you can um, like piece out yeah. So we talk about all those kinds of things. And then the woman who does this, her name is Noella Napoleon, and she's a business owner on Oahu, and she's kind of seen it all, and so she helps people specifically um, with their business needs. And so it's very in depth and it's very personable, and they do have a class that meets in person in Honolulu, and then other people come online. And there are even people from Oahu online. But like for we were talking about earlier, as a 4-island county, uh, Molokai and Lanai have limited resources to, um, so we can do this on Zoom, which works for them. So I think that's really helpful for Maui County to have it available. Um,
Well, I think, I still know so many people who really appreciate the Zoom meetings, and as you said, I just love the idea of being able to have them be able to participate on Zoom while still making their jewelry, while they're listening in and taking
yes.
notes. I think that
Mhm.
that's a great visual for me anyway.
Oh, I know. I
I'm
thought
always
that
trying
too.
to leverage my time, so I get it.
Yes, exactly. I mean, we see that,
I
that's one, I guess, the hidden blessings of COVID was that we recognize that we can still connect on Zoom. Certainly, it's way better to be in person. That's why I'm glad that I get to be here on Maui, and we're going to build our capacity here with resources here. But even on Zoom, I think it's better than nothing, and some of the concepts, especially marketing, like we're starting a marketing your e-commerce product class today, and that's a Maui-based class. So all of the students are um, from Maui and Maui County, but our facilitator is from Honolulu, and she's so good. She asked everybody, please send me your social media handles and your website so I can look at what you're already doing before we even start the class. So she's very comprehensive and gives so much. So I just think there's such great resources here on available to folks in Maui County that I really want to spread the word. So if you're on Molokai or Lanai and there are so many entrepreneurs on the neighbor islands that I just want to kind of reach out to them, especially and say, give me a call and we can work on, um, building your business or growing it or getting it registered and talk about the pros and cons of, you might have this cash-based side hustle that you do on the weekends, but you're thinking about, I want to scale it up and register my business and take advantage of the tax breaks that are available to small businesses and um, give me a call. We'll talk that through. Because for some people, it doesn't make sense to be a real big business. You really just want to keep it simple. You don't want to have, you know, that's fine too. Because I have actually met with folks that said at the end of the day, I don't think I'm ready to really scale it up yet. But it's good for them to know their options, right? Like what kind of tax breaks do you get? And what will benefit me by becoming a legitimately registered LLC um, and then what are
Yeah.
yeah, of course you will have to pay taxes at that point too, but there are also really good benefits. But you gotta talk it out and see what's good for you. And that's what's great about the Women's Business Center. It's all very individualized and yeah.
I love that. And
Mhm.
I'll say, I've worked with small manufacturing companies for decades. And in the beginning, a lot of it, as you point out, some of it starts out as a hobby and then it becomes a little side hustle. I love that you mentioned about helping them, even if they don't want to move into registering their business or growing at that certain level, or they're going to continue to do things like craft fairs and swap meets, but helping them separate their personal finances from what they're spending
Yeah,
on this business or hobby just helps them identify, are they making money? I know so many people who start out and that I used to counsel uh, when running a manufacturing extension program years ago is because it was integrated, they often didn't see, where they were really at and
exactly.
where their expenses were really at
Yeah.
for as they were moving from a hobby to a small business. So it really helped them by separating it from their personal finances.
Yeah.
It really helped them get a sense of, okay, am I going to do this as a business or no, do I want to keep it a hobby and then understand, how much I'm spending on that?
Exactly. And I think some of our costs are hidden, um, we don't recognize how much we spend on the supplies. So say like I make gingerbread cookies with my grandkids and sometimes we'll go and sell them at our friend's market. And it seems like we're making a lot of money until you think, oh, wait a minute, I have to buy all the things that go into that. And so, yeah, exactly what you're saying. A lot of
And
times,
the time.
and the time. And
They forget to account for their own time.
exactly.
Until they have employees,
Hmm.
they don't put in their own salary into the business. That's a frequent thing I see with a lot of small businesses
It's
who
so
are,
true.
moving from a hobby into a business.
Yes.
They'll show you all the expenses and they'll show you the sales and quit making money. And I said about your time. And one of
Hmm.
the best stories was a woman who babysat, and she was bringing income into her family with the babysitting money, and did childcare. And then she moved into the cookie business, but didn't account for her time. So
Yep.
her husband was saying, "We keep having less money," but she was going, "But look, I'm bringing you money," but she wasn't bringing in the money she used to bring in
Right.
with her time doing the childcare. Gary is giving me signals. We're getting close to the end. So Stacey, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you and meet with you and get some amazing counseling and services.
Yeah, definitely. And that's such a good story because that is exactly. I just met with a group of childcare providers to help everybody recognize childcare providers are business owners. They're providing a valuable service to our community, and our economy wouldn't run if people couldn't go to work. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. And okay, so how to
And
get
that's
in?
a business too. To look
Absolutely.
at that as a business.
It
Yeah.
sure is. Yeah, that's why I was meeting with them. They're wonderful. Oh my gosh, I could not do that work. Bless them.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, so we got 30 seconds, but tell
Okay.
everybody really quickly how they can
You
get
can
hold.
Google Maui Women's Business Center or find our website, which is ywca-mwbc.org. So that's YWCA-Maui Women. So it's mwbc.org. My number is 808-984-3792.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Stacey,
Thank
for
you, Pamela.
participating on the show.
Yeah.
So great to connect with you again. For everybody listening in, thank you for joining us for Business Matters. I hope you have a blessed and beautiful Maui day. We hope you'll join us again next Tuesday morning at 7:05. And also, you can listen in at 12:05 on Ka'oi for rebroadcasts of the show on Friday. So have a wonderful day and ahui no.